So you've gotten a ton of criticism at different points. How have you dealt with that? How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
And how do you not lose your soul? How do you not be jaded?
Oh man,
it's
hard.
Like just even discouragement in general. I'm someone who struggles with discouragement oftentimes. And it's weird. Oftentimes after one of my biggest moments, whatever that means, I'm going to put it in quotes. Oftentimes I struggle with discouragement the most.
Yeah.
Which is so weird. It's like, you just had this really cool thing.
It's the same thing for me. Absolutely, yeah. And we can talk about that. I got theories about why that is. Because I was just having this conversation, actually. But, yeah.
How do you deal with the comments, the criticism?
You have to have a bulletproof vest on, metaphorically. And for me, there's been times that I've gotten hit by a machine gun of criticism. And with all criticism, there's usually an ounce of truth, which... Absolutely. There's usually an ounce of truth. But for somebody like me who has been very lucky to have things in the entertainment world, that comes with it. You're going to get scrutinized. Me going on reality TV. After I watched back the final cut, I was like, oh, that's not how things played out to me. That's interesting. But they edited some things in a strange way. And for me watching the show, I remember when the show came out in October, I was like, oh, I'll look fine. This would be awesome. This would be great. And then I remember I was doing a comedy show here in Sioux Falls at the Pavilion, and I was sitting in the green room, and it was a Sunday night, and I look at Twitter, or X, shout out Elon, I was looking at X, and I was like, let me just see what they're saying on Twitter. And boom, Gabe is racist. Boom, Gabe is a POS. I mean, just nailing me. Oh yeah, just nailing me. And I just remember sitting back there right before I'm getting ready to go on and perform, like, oh my gosh, is this what life is for me now, getting hit with all of this? So then you throw in some other things of just criticism on some of the videos that I'll make. I'll have thousands of good comments, thousands of good ones, but then the one negative comes in and it just weighs on you. Just feels like a ton of bricks. And I think as humans, we do that all the time. We focus on those negatives and we hyperfixate on it because it's easy, because that is what hurts the most. And that's what feels loud, because as humans, a lot of us think to ourselves, oh, you're gonna give me a positive thing about me? I don't believe that. And it's easy for people to feel that way, because that's why people always say, well, I'm bad at taking I'm blanking on the word here. I'm bad at taking positive information in about myself. I'm bad at
compliments.
Compliments. Yeah, that's the word I blanked on. Yeah, you're like, hey, third grade compliment. A lot of people say they're bad at taking compliments because that's usually because they don't believe that. And they believe the negative things about them. So when people start saying negative things about you, you do start thinking to yourself, I am bad. I am this. I don't deserve X, Y, and Z. So I was also on a podcast. Like, yeah, there was a comedian that came on. Some things were said, and then some things got twisted online with some edits. And that blew my life up as well. Was faced with a lot of criticism on there. And you just want to scream from a rooftop saying, no, here's what actually happened. Here's the type of person that I am. And I've quickly learned that no matter what you say or do, half the people are going to hate you anyway. And it's the classic saying of, well, they killed Jesus, but they killed Jesus. So no matter what you do, there's going to be people that will criticize you. And you have to look at it in a lens of, okay, do I care about what user 7489 on the internet is saying about me? And one of the best advice I ever got was from my dad. And there was one day I was having a hard time with just some negative stuff. And he goes, hey, Gabe, you're not that special. I was like, geez, well, that's not making me feel better, Dad. What do you mean I'm not that special?
Dad, you're the one person.
Yeah. It's like, I thought there's like a good heart-to-heart moment here. And he goes, no, you're not that special, in a way of, this person's going to say this to you, and then the next person, and the next person, and the next person. You are not the only person who is taking the heat from this random person on the internet. So that has been a challenge to me, but I've quickly learned that if you don't have objective people in your corner, they will start skewing where your mind is at. So I've got my select few people that when something happens, I say, hey, what's your take on this? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I in the middle? And they'll shoot me straight. And then those are the people that I'll listen to.
Can Annie, your fiance, tell when you've gotten a sideways comment?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like last night, I I was talking to her and I was like, hey, I don't think I've got as thick skin as I thought I did, because it's been a really good week on social media views wise. I mean, I think it's been like 15 million views or something this week.
Yeah.
And with that, there's going to come negative things, and just having people, call me every name in the book, people saying nasty things about me. It's like, I'm just making goofy videos. How are you finding fault in what I'm doing? How is this inappropriate? How do you think this is wrong of me to do that? And that's where my faith really comes into play as well, knowing that my identity is not in making videos on social media. My identity is, my identity is in Christ. And if I can go to sleep at night knowing that I'm being a godly man or trying my best to do that, I don't care what user 7489 has to say. I care about what God has to say about me. I care what Jesus has to say. And I try to keep that mindset. Once again, easier said than done. That's the playbook, but sometimes it's hard to follow the playbook, especially when you're in the moment and you have a lot of emotions. That playbook sometimes can get thrown out the window because you want to act on emotion.
Hey crew, it's Adam from The Conversation. I'm so glad that you've tuned in to this episode. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you go and click the subscribe button, whether it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on Pando, so you don't miss a single episode of The Conversation. Also, I need to give a huge shout out to these partners. These partners help make this episode of The Conversation possible. They're organizations that I know and trust that I want you to know about as well. Have a great rest of your day.